I am 88 years old. I have worn this collar for 61 years. I have heard more confessions than I can count. Thousands of people knelt in front of me and told me their darkest secrets. I told all of them the same thing. You are forgiven. I believed it every time I said it. But tonight, lying in this small room in the Vatican, I cannot say it to myself. I thought I had time. I thought there would be a day when the guilt would lift on its own. A day when I would wake up and finally feel clean. That day never came. 61 years of preaching mercy, and I have shown none to myself. I was wrong. You think a man who spends his whole life talking about forgiveness must understand it. You think he must have it figured out. I am here to tell you that is not true. I understood the words. I never understood the weight. When I was 27, something happened. Something I have never told anyone, not even in my own confession. I carried it through every mass I said, every sermon I gave, every hand I held at every deathbed. I stood at the altar and spoke of God's endless mercy while a single moment from my past sat in my chest like a stone that never moved. People called me Father. They trusted me with their sins. They left my confessional lighter than when they walked in. I went back to my room every night carrying mine alone. Later never came. I always believed I would deal with it eventually. After this assignment, after this posting, after I was transferred to Rome, after, I gave my whole life to later. And now there is no later left. The doctors have told me how little time remains. Weeks, maybe less. So tonight I am not going to pretend anymore. If you are young, if you are strong, if you think you have decades ahead of you, listen to me carefully. The thing you are avoiding right now, the thing you tell yourself you will deal with someday, will not wait quietly in a corner. It will sit on your chest for 60 years. It sat on mine. Don't make my mistake. I need to tell you what happened when I was 27 years old, because I think somehow telling it now, at the very end, might be the only way I ever forgive myself. I was 27 years old, newly ordained, sent to a small parish outside Naples. I still remember the smell of that church. Old wood, candle smoke, dust in the sunlight through the windows. I thought God had given me everything I wanted. A collar, a purpose, a place to belong. There was a woman in that parish named Lucia. She was not part of any scandal, nothing like what you are imagining. She was simply a woman who came to me, again and again, terrified. Her husband drank. He raised his hand to her more nights than not. She came to confession not to confess her own sins, but to ask me what she should do. I was 27. I had a robe and a title, but I had no real wisdom yet. I told her what the church taught me to tell her. Stay, pray for him, marriage is sacred, suffering can be redemptive. I believed I was giving her comfort. I was giving her a cage with scripture written on the bars. She kept coming back, each time a little smaller, each time a little quieter. I remember the exact color of her coat, a faded green, because she wore it every single week for 2 winters. I remember her hands shaking when she lit a candle before she left. I told myself I was helping her carry her cross. That is the lie I built my peace on. Outside the confessional, I was admired, the young priest who listened patiently, the young priest who never rushed anyone out the door. People said I had a gift for compassion. They had no idea that the same gift was failing, the one person who needed something different from me. Not comfort, not scripture, help. There is a particular kind of guilt that hides behind good intentions. It does not look like sin from the outside. It looks like devotion. It looks like faithfulness to your calling. I told myself I was doing God's work. I told myself the same thing for 60 years. Every time her face came back to me in the quiet of the night. I baptized children. I buried parents. I sat beside the dying and told them not to be afraid. I built a reputation as a man who understood suffering. And underneath all of it, there was a green coat I could not stop seeing. A man can spend his whole life standing at the front of a church, speaking with confidence, and still be the most frightened person in the room. I was frightened of one question I never let myself ask out loud. What if I made things worse for her, not better? I did not know yet how that question would return to me. I did not know that one winter, Everything would change, and I would finally have to face what I had done with my collar, my comfort, and my careful, comfortable advice. I thought I had time to figure out if I had been right. Later never came for her either. It was February, cold enough that the church windows fogged from the inside. Lucia did not come to Mass that Sunday. I told myself nothing of it. People miss Mass. People get sick. People have reasons. She did not come the Sunday after either. On the third week, her sister came to find me, not to confession. She walked straight to the rectory door and knocked until I answered. I still remember her face, white, hollow, already grieving before she said a single word. Lucia was dead. Her husband told the police it was an accident, a fall down the stairs. Nobody questioned it very hard. Not back then, not in that town, not for a woman like her. I sat in my room that night and could not breathe properly. Not because I was shocked, because some small, terrible part of me was not surprised at all. I had known. Some part of me had known for 2 winters that this was where it was heading, and I had told her to pray. I had told her marriage was sacred. I had told her suffering could be redemptive. I was wrong. I went to her funeral wearing the same robe I wore every Sunday. I stood at the altar and said words about God's mercy and eternal peace, and I felt like the biggest fraud who had ever lived. I looked at her sister's face in the front pew, and I wanted to walk down from that altar and confess everything to the whole congregation. I did not. I finished the Mass. I shook hands at the door. I went home, and I did not sleep for 3 days. This is the moment everything in me split into 2 pieces. One piece kept being a priest, said the prayers, heard the confessions, comforted the grieving. The other piece sat alone, every single night, with one unbearable thought. If I had told her the truth instead of the scripture, would she still be alive? I never found the answer. I am 88 years old now, and I still do not have it. But I learned something that winter that I carried into every single year of priesthood after. Comfort is not the same as honesty. Faith is not the same as silence. And sometimes the kindest sounding words are the most dangerous ones, because they let everyone, including the one saying them, avoid the harder truth. I thought becoming a better priest meant forgiving everyone who came to me. I did not yet understand that it also meant being honest with them, even when honesty was frightening, even when honesty meant telling a woman to leave, not to stay, even when it meant admitting that some suffering is not holy, some suffering is just suffering. That winter did not just take Lucia, it took my innocence. I stopped believing that good intentions were enough. And underneath that realization was something darker, something I would not admit to myself for 60 more years. I did not just fail to help her. I was afraid that I had helped kill her. Slowly, one Sunday at a time, with my own hands folded in prayer. For 60 years, I believed forgiveness was something you gave to other people. I believed it was a gift I handed across the confessional screen. Someone confesses, I absolve, they leave lighter. That is what I was taught. That is what I taught thousands of others. I was wrong. Forgiveness is not a gift you give downward, from someone strong to someone weak. It is not a transaction you complete and then walk away from. Real forgiveness has to travel in every direction, including inward. And for 61 years, I forgot to send it to myself. Here is the truth I did not understand at 27, and barely understand now at 88. You can spend your whole life being gentle with everyone, except the one person you see in the mirror. You can absolve strangers without hesitation and condemn yourself in silence for decades. This is not holiness. This is hiding. I told sinners that God's mercy had no limit. I believed that with my whole heart, for everyone but me. I drew an invisible line and stood myself outside of it. Year after year, decade after decade, I thought my guilt over Lucia was proof that I cared. I did not realize it had become its own kind of prison, one I built carefully, brick by brick, out of good intentions. This is not only a lesson for priests. This is not only a lesson about confession booths and collars and Latin prayers. This is a lesson for anyone who has ever made a mistake and decided that punishing themselves forever was the price of caring enough. You do not have to be a priest to do this. You only have to be human. A parent who said the wrong thing to a child who is now grown. A friend who stayed silent when someone needed honesty instead of comfort. A son or daughter who did not call enough before it was too late. We all have a green coat we cannot stop seeing. I thought holding on to my guilt was a form of respect for Lucia. I thought if I forgave myself, it would mean I no longer cared about what happened to her. I was wrong about that too. Carrying guilt is not the same as carrying love. One destroys you slowly, the other does not have to. I preached forgiveness my entire life. I meant every word of it for everyone else. I am only now learning, at the very end, that the words were always meant for me too. Forgiveness was never supposed to be a gift I gave from a position of strength, looking down at the broken. It was supposed to be something I shared equally, including with the broken man wearing the collar. I thought I had time to learn this lesson gently, slowly, on my own terms. I did not. I am learning it now, at 88, with weeks left, because there is no later left to wait for. So here is what I want to say to you. Whoever you are watching this in whatever life you are living right now, you are not too young for this. You are not too busy. You are not too far away from the moment when all of this will matter. I thought I had decades to make peace with myself. I thought guilt was something noble, something I would carry with dignity, and that one day, somehow, it would simply lift. It did not lift. It sat on me for 61 years and only got heavier. Don't make my mistake. If there is something you have not forgiven yourself for, do not wait until you are old to deal with it. Do not wait until the doctors are speaking in quiet voices outside your door. I waited. I told myself I was strong enough to carry it. I was not carrying it. It was carrying me, slowly into the ground, one ordinary day at a time. If there is someone you have not forgiven, do not wait either. I learnt forgiveness has no patience for later. Later is a lie we tell ourselves so we do not have to feel the discomfort of now. I told that lie to myself for 61 years. I am telling you, it is not true. Later never comes. It only feels like it will. You think you have time. I thought I had time. I was a man who spoke about eternity for a living, and even I forgot how short a single human life actually is. If you remember nothing else from an old dying priest, remember this: mercy without self-mercy is only half a faith. Compassion without forgiving your own hands is only half a heart. I gave the world the half I had figured out. I am only now, at the very end, reaching for the other half. I do not know if I will find peace before I go. I hope I do, but I am no longer waiting for it to arrive on its own. I am choosing it, finally, tonight, even though it is 61 years late. Do not wait until it is 61 years late for you. Forgive yourself while you still have the time to live differently because of it. I was wrong to wait. Don't make my mistake.